Hello, welcome to another Space Brothers Gushcast. I am your host LB. Joining me as always the CT.
Hi there.
So, these episodes of Space Brothers, the ones that if you've seen the series before, you know that neither one of us would be looking forward to these episodes. We are, of course, talking about episodes 61 through 64. You can label this arc whatever you want. I'm calling it the Sad Sharon arc.
Uh, yeah, I suppose you can call it SBALS.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. So 61. Where were we?
We had a successful launch of Pieco during the comeback competition, and then it's downtime. Last episode ended in my happy space, which is anytime Fukuda shows up again. So when we start this episode, you got Vince and Pico hanging out and chatting and fretting over the return of half of the lunar crew, including Hibito, in a few days' time.
This was interesting because I remember this happening when I first watched this or have watched it. One thing that I had forgotten about though and was curious to know how the series was going to handle it because like I said, I know what's going to come, what's going to come next. Was Hibito's stress level as he was coming back down to Earth, and missing mission control basically just saying, oh, his heart rate is elevated, and the commander at mission control basically being like, yeah, but he doesn't need to know that.
Yeah. Yes, well, I think, I mean, we know the reason why that is. Well, of course, that'll come up, but I think that because of the dumb background thing wherein Amonte is seriously having chats with Muta, that the thing that I'm worried about is still going to happen. It's there to be a secondary concern with, is Kibito still in trouble? Will they make it back safely? Is there something wrong with him? And then they'll eventually turn it around and point to the nozzle firmly in Sharon's direction, as it were.
Yes.
But if it fits in with what's going on in general, it will continue to fit in, but I think it's a little bit of a extra red herring for it. But I guess it's the other thing with the series where, because there's no active conflicts of the fisticuffs nature, they're not on a quest to defeat a demon king or anything like that. So they have to stack barely outside normal things together to be the potential seeds of drama and future drama going on. So it does it in interesting ways and continues to, but it feels like that's the kind of grist for the drama mill that Space Brothers can utilize. It's like, his heart rate is high. Oh shit, man.
Well, I mean, I bring that up because, again, I know what's coming. We'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just something that I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember how the series handled it because in my brain, all I was thinking when we got to this point where Hibito was returning to Earth was, well, how is he going to handle that trip
Right.
from the moon back down to Earth in the suit?
Well,
So,
right. we don't know anything about the suit connection yet, so
Yeah.
that's the returning to it. Now they do, of course, when we start this episode, Vince and Pico are at the bar, and then our Team E ass-cans are just sitting in the room, playing nice with Pieko. But then the very next thing is, in any other series, I would be like, oh man, they're just flying around with death flags here. Because it's like, what are you guys going to do when you get home? I can't wait to go home and play with my son, Alan. And I'm like, dude, don't announce that out loud. Haven't you watched anime? I'm going to have a family barbecue. I'd like to catch a musical. And Hibito wants to go on a bike ride. And I'm like, that's just dangerous, man. But especially the needing to see your family. That's like pulling out a photo of your wife and kids the day before you retire from the force. You're doomed. Don't do it. But we did get a nice thing here. I forget whether or not the replacement crew had been announced for who's going to spell them at the base, but of course Azuma joins them and rings the bell for them as they get in. I'm like, oh, okay. It's neat to get Azuma there in the very next mission, essentially. So
yeah, when all the pressure is gone, so
now we can just chill out. Yeah, there's no pressure in a moon base or going on EVAs. So all the pressure is off. He doesn't get to have all of the press conferences. Now it's old hat. There's been one Japanese dude on the moon, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, screw that now.
Who cares? Number two. It's like that guy. There's Neil Armstrong, and then that guy, that other guy. Who was it? No one remembers him. His name is buzzing around my mind, but I don't know. Anyway.
The other thing that I really liked about this episode was towards the end when this series doesn't do like jokes in the traditional sense. It's very rare. It's very rare.
I wouldn't even say in the traditional sense, but it does. You remember that radio show in Houston that they keep listening to, and some kid writes a letter in, and then the guy throws a weird joke at it? It feels very Manzai setup like, so it feels like a very Japanese sort of joke, and I feel like that's the best running gag from a pure joke perspective. There's a lot of humor, obviously. There's a lot of sort of mental pratfalling from Muta's direction because we're in his head all the time. And of course, we have reached the prank zone now that we have Murasaki doing things all the time. So
what I was going to get at though with this is what I really liked and something that made me laugh was Hibito tossing a moon rock to Namba. To Muta, I should say.
Yeah.
And after Muta is all impressed and is like, yeah, should you be giving me this? And Hibito answers with, once you go to the moon, they're everywhere.
Right. It's just right outside.
I love that line made me laugh.
Yeah, that's not much of a joke quad joke either, in that it's not setting up something, but it's the kind of funny setup moment that's situationally very amusing but thoughtful at the same time from Hibito's perspective, because he's like, well, you're following the same path now, so once you get there, it'll be old hat to you too. It'll be right outside. So definitely enjoyable. Obviously, much of this episode is the the parents coming back to Houston and fretting over Hibito and will they have a safe landing. Pico obviously stressing over it because this will be the first time one of his parachute systems is used since the bad times 3 or however many years prior. So I do like Pico's philosophy about ties, though. The only reason to put a tie on is to take it off when your job is done.
Honestly, even then, I hate wearing ties.
I know ties suck.
Ties really suck. I hate them.
But if you got to do it, that's at
Yeah,
least
I mean, if you have to, then you have to, but still.
There's another little moment in this that's the kind of thing I enjoy, like Hibito being able to toss the rock to Muda for his own setup. But when he was talking about wanting to go on a bike ride and his bike is probably covered with dust, you see a later scene where Muda takes the bike for a ride, basically to prepare it for its master's return. That no matter how stupid that bike looks, it's still an important thing, and you don't want to leave it covered with dust. So, I don't know if he heard anything. It looks like when they were announcing what they would do, they were only talking to Houston, so it's not like it's something Muda would have paid attention to. So it's more they show the kind of mental zone that both of them are operating on, the same wavelength. So I don't get the brand of the razor blade he's shaving with, though. Hige, sorry. Now that's the first time I think that he starts to do the all right, I'm going to put down the alcohol now too. They lean into Pico. Since this is the day, he's like, okay, I'm going to start going cold turkey because he leaves his flask at home next to pictures of some of the successful splashdowns, and then later he only orders a tonic water. So you wonder whether or not. I hope it's not like the only time he was ever drinking was after the accident with Brian and the others, and now he's given it up. But at the very least, it's nice to see that he's able to get himself through the kind of zone he's been locked in since that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now he gets to have a mission. Denver was in control of it, and any successful landing becomes okay. Now I can leave this sort of nightmare of pulled off the project, haven't had a completed proper project since then. I don't think we saw anything about what happened to the higher-ups. We know that Pico wasn't punished from the accident because they were pulled off, but I forget if we saw anything from someone who was,
I don't think they did anything in the anime yet for that.
Yeah.
Nope. And and I'm not sure that they're going to.
If I remember from the manga, there's sort of a single mention at some point when we start leaning into the true villain of the anime.
Mm-hmm.
The one lasting villain. He'll. Should we do a focus episode just on Gates when he shows up? I don't know.
We may need to.
We'll certainly have a lot to say about this guy. But yes, I also enjoy, they haven't landed yet. The Askans are in mission control, to be present there for the landing. And of course, they're always doing things and talking about, here are these people, here are flight surgeons, here are other things, and of course, Serica could operate as a flight surgeon for certain actual missions, but these are the ones who monitor health. I guess they're the ones who will monitor Hibito later, but the first thing is like panning over. Here's Simon and Olivia. I'm like, why are they showing that paper behind Olivia? I'm like, oh, wait, no, of course. It's Muta being like, a beautiful lady. The dude's brain always notices any pretty lady in any situation. Nothing happens. It doesn't mean anything. He just notices them, and we get a pure line of pure id from Muda every time, where he just blushes and thinks, "What a pretty lady." A lady writing something is kind of nice. There's but yeah, I think we kind of talked about the rest there. You get some nice footage of something, of the capsule returning. You get to see what's kind of funny in that it's a little weird to focus on, okay, we've separated, the other capsule part is going ahead of us, and they watch it burning up in the atmosphere. It's like, oh, look at that, it's so pretty. Wait, if we come in at the wrong angle, that's going to be us burning up in re-entry in half a moment. So that's kind of a neat fireworks sort of thing. I guess we get something like that in Apollo 13. You don't often get a movie or a film with, the perspective of re-entry, either outside the capsule or from within. So it's nice to get it. It's about the most action you get. There's one scene where the camera is violently shaking, and then the fire seems like it's going out of control, and it's it's your shonen laser beam blast equivalent, the high-powered, exciting animation moment, and it's instead in an area with no music playing, no anything else. We're just focused on this moment, and then of course there's the inevitable radio silence from Houston calling out, and you're like, oh god, did they blow up? Are they fine? And then they'll streaking across the sky. They I guess they don't stretch it out too much, because this is the most important moment for literally all of the characters right now. I guess there'll be one more towards the end of the series, but the anime is probably never going to get there, which makes me sad. But yes, you get a lot of time and attention, and then you get a brilliant blue sky, successful parachute launch. Everyone cheers. Muta kind of finger bangs a Lego figure in his pocket. The normal stuff.
Yeah.
Pico loosens his tie, and then, right at the end, you end with that moment with Hibito. I guess you don't end it only with that, of course, but you largely are doing that with him tossing the moon rock to Muta. Oh no, it does end there. Right. The manga progresses quickly to the after effects of them on the ground, but right there you get him just tossing the rock, and then you get to complete it in the next episode. But of course you have to have some flashbacks to them as kids first, and then as teens, and then as adults. It's been 20 years since we made that promise. It gives you a whole lot of repeat footage again. More than normal. And then the joke. So where do things progress after the moon rock toss?
I don't remember if there's much else in that episode. I think the moon rock toss was pretty close to the end, wasn't it?
In 51, the toss was the end, but I went in because he didn't chat with Muta yet. They were just staring at each other. So the actual joke you're talking about is in the beginning of 62.
Okay, okay,
So we are now in the next episode.
okay. Excuse me, sorry. Amonte finally reveals her big premonition that they've been teasing for how many episodes now?
quite a while. Yes,
Yeah, it's
when
been at
when
least.
Hibito and the crew are leaving, going into the ambulance, Amonte is staring daggers. And of course, the very next thing we see is the whole crew, sacked out because they're like, oh my god, everything is so heavy. I feel my hair. And Hibito is kind of passes out pretty quickly. So Amonte hasn't talked with Muta yet, but this is part of what we were talking about before, where if Houston is saying, we don't have to let him know his heart rate is high, but she's very concerned in the very next scene. It's everyone in an ambulance. So it's like, oh crap, is there something up with Hibito? He's probably sleeping, but maybe.
Hmm. I remember when I first watched the series, I felt safe that Hibito was not the source.
Right.
I felt safe in that. I was worried. I wasn't sure who it was going to be, but I felt safe that Hibito, once he was back on Earth, that he was going to be he was going to be mostly okay, not dead at
Well,
least.
it does seem like it would be a crazy situation to have him almost die of suffocation on the moon, and then they're all fine from the landing, and then be like, aha, now we'll imperil him. What? Dudes, if you're going to bump him off, do it on the moon where it's fun. But while he's asleep, he is dreaming of Sharon, of course, and her telling him that you can lead. What is it? If you, I enjoy the perspective because it's kind of. It seems to be like Sharon really knows Muta's sort of personality, because while Muta is constantly bemoaning being a bad older brother because he's not leading by example, Sharon's perspective is, if you stay ahead of your brother and lead the way, if you ever stop, Muta's right behind you, he'll give you a push along. So it's reversed their positions, but that's from when they were very young. So it seems like the kind of thing where his form of personality was at least obvious to Sharon, and that the successful way forward is for Hibito to be strong and maintain their dream, and eventually, Muta will follow, will try to catch up, and if you ever stop, he'll push you along as well. So now, I don't know what would have happened if he wasn't fired for headbutting his boss, but guess it would have been a very boring series. This guy goes to the moon. This guy designs cars for 5 years. Yay!
Yeah,
Anyway,
this
oh
is
yes, fair.
where they start learning
Anyway,
how to fly their
we're
jets,
back
right?
into training mode with the ass cans.
Well, Okay. I
No, not
wasn't sure
yet.
if you were
They
getting
will
into
get
that
into it
scene
by the
yet.
end of it, but they're like doing their morning jog arounds, and of course, the I'm not going to go there yet. No, the only reason I wanted to do here is similar to where I said a woman writing something is kind of nice.
Yes.
That's one of the running jokes. Every time Muta stares at Serica doing any activity like eating or writing, or in this case, running, he's like, a woman running is a really fine thing. I've read a lot, but for some reason I don't feel tired at all. But Amonte finally talks to him directly at this point. I'm like, okay, whatever. We don't know what's going on yet. He'll reveal it later. They're still structuring it like maybe there could be something with Hibito because he's back home with his parents, but he's sluggish, and Appo is 6 times heavier sitting on his chest, so therefore we're still wondering, and Muta is in the other room, and he's looking at, I guess, the direction of where the other conversation is coming from. And again, Dad is healthy, Mom is healthy. So again, it's like someone close to you. But is that where, I think she may specify that it's not Hibito. She says it because what she sees is that Muta and Hibito will both be equally as bad news. Looking pained and very sad. Because Muta thinks it might be Hibito, and she says, he will suffer as much as you will. So now he's thinking outside the zone, and of course the very next scene is Sharon heading to a lunar observatory. Where's Goddard? Goddard Space Flight Conference, so she'll be heading to Houston soon, but of course now that the focus has turned over in her direction at the thing, we're like, oh, okay, she's the one in the crosshairs. Gotta be Sharon. But in the
This
meanwhile, she's
scene
talking
was
to
fun
people
for me. I
about the
like.
proposal for
Excuse me,
their
sorry.
lunar telescope in Shackleton Crater, though.
I didn't really. I mean, it was nice seeing Sharon fight for her dream more and fight to get the lunar telescope built. What I really liked though was afterward when the guy from the University of Hawaii, I want to say, came up to her and started flirting with her and talking to her and was like, "Oh, that's cute."
Yeah. Eh. It is cute. That when was that? Yeah, they're starting to. I enjoyed the space logistics from what she was talking about with everyone, but yeah, a little bit more than that. Her and the other professor, talk about being able to see things like asteroids up close and, of course, distant galaxies. There are a lot of advantages to space telescopes. I'm not entirely sure how much, the moon basically offers giant radio telescope things. We have the JWST, we have Hubble, which are small satellite scale. So it obviously would be nice to have something permanently mounted that can cover some distance.
Yes, yes.
A mile.
She was
or
met with
however
some
much it would be.
resistance there.
Because they were talking about building a kind of dish, but obviously the logistics of it are harsh. So Muta only learns in the next scene after they do some, looking at jet manuals and sitting there. It's not quite Top Gun, but they're leaning into learning about jets, and it's all the ass cans together. So yes, they're the Space Brothers humor in that they're given a box of books, and Muta thinks, okay, I'm going to pick up, there's all of this stuff inside, I got to pass it around then, right? They're like, nope, that's your box, and here's the box for other people. But they hadn't quite gotten there in this episode yet. The first scene was just them looking at some preliminaries, and it was more the cute scene afterward between Muta and Sarika, where he's chatting, like Sharon calls Muta and he refers to her as Aunt Sharon, and she's freaking out like there's a celebrity. He's chatting with Madonna or someone. He's just sharing, starting training, and Sarika's hanging around nearby just trying to get invited to anything where he's going to hang out with her idol, and Sarika gets to chat with Sharon, and we don't get the more specific phone things, but Muta's still fretting over Amanti's dumb stuff, and he hears sort of a crash.
That was
and,
when I
Sharon
saw
is
her
just
phone.
Like, I dropped my phone.
That was when it started to dawn on me
it's
that
like the
bad things were about to
layout
happen
is
to
trying to
Sharon.
red herring us, because now we're assuming the focus is on Sharon, and then, oh my god, something just happened. Oh wait, she just dropped her phone. And then Muta's like, okay, it was just that. And then the very next scene, of course, is Sharon staring at her hands and being like, why do I keep dropping my phone? And looking at her phone and seeing how messed up it is. And then it's like, okay, you tried to double bluff me for 10 seconds, but obviously we know what's coming, you sons of bitches. It's bad time. But meaningful connections. But so we start in on episode 63, and that's where the giant box of manuals is handed around. So now,
it would be nice if they could just
one box
have
per
it
person
digitally,
rather than
like in
handing out
PDFs.
one book per person. And yes, it's terrifying. Although if you think about it, remember when Muta was looking through Hibito's mission notes and all of that stuff? Remember how many things there were, and he's just like, well, this is going to be the only chance I get to read through mission documents, so I might as well do that now. And he distracted himself in rolling Muta mode. So their life of buried in paperwork has begun. You think in the future this would all just be on an iPad and they'd be able to flip through it so easily. NASA, so stuck in the past, moon base people. But I wonder what all the other books are, or if it's an animation error. Because when he does look at the box, it definitely looks like they're all the same type of thing, because the TA-38 flight manual on the left looks like a white hardcover book, and it looks like all the same sorts of things going under. So they're all equivalent sizes and equivalent types of things. They're just not all the same thing. So it makes me wonder, is one a flight manual and a pilot's briefing note, and then the next one down is, the navigation profiles for XYZ, and the other one is, I'm wondering what all of the other books actually would be, because it definitely plays into the passing, take one, pass them back. But I forget who the other guy is who's hanging with Vince, but Vince is doing the starting pilot training for him along with that other guy who, I guess they're kind of leading the overall thing, because Vince was the one who at the beginning announced you'll be doing 2 years worth of training in 18 months. I don't like their delayed schedule 2 years. Bah! I'm going to shave a quarter of that time off. So they're probably taking the lead during most of this, because that's Vince's project, as it were. But then they have to read and study their giant box of manuals, because they'll have to take some tests, and if you do bad on the tests, you'll fall behind. Just like before, when they're like, if you do bad on the desert thing, you'll fall behind. So it's always threatening them, not with you will never become an astronaut, but it's again a Space Brothers-y kind of drama. You're threatened with it taking longer for you to get into space your first time. That's the drama. It can take some people up to 10 years to get an actual mission. So if you do poorly in your jet training, it may reflect poorly on their decision to do it. So they're not going to bother with you for 5 to 10 years. Suck it. That is the punishment. You don't get to go to space as fast as you would like. That is the overhanging threat of doom.
We're going to meet the Ghostbusters pretty soon.
But trying to see if Dr. Morrison, by the way, we get his introduction from the University of Hawaii Institute for Astronomy. That's where Dr. Morrison is from. He's a nice little white-haired guy with a bolo tie. And I'm trying to see if they're pulling someone specific, because the author loves to take literal exact representations, usually of television or movie celebrities. Like, we'll meet the Ghostbusters at some point. We'll definitely meet Kevin Spacey and other people. This guy, exactly. So you get them all over the place, and this guy is like, I swear he's got to be doing someone, but I don't know who. It's just he looks like a very specific kind of person, but I don't know of any celebrity for it. He can't be doing sort of a Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd thing, but it's in that direction. It's in, of course, Dr. Morrison makes me think of actual Jim Morrison, because he did that before with, instead of Freddie Mercury, Freddie Saturn. So he's doing that. But I don't know of any particular celebrity or scientist who matches it. He has a vaguely Einstein kind of appearance to him. The bolo tie. Attitude-wise, he makes me think like Koyama's thinking of Richard Feynman, possibly. But I guess overall, maybe it's just he liked the look of it. But but yeah, they get to chat outside and reveal that even though they're excited about the projects and other stuff, when he finds out that the Sharon asteroid was named for her by her husband, he shares that he named an asteroid for his wife, and don't let them know, but possibly some of the reason for this is just so I can get a clear image of this asteroid. So yes, it's very much the same impulse. He says he lost his wife 2 years ago, and you're like, oh, okay. Are we gonna get two oldies hooking up before Muta and Sarika can? That's a route, but that'd be a choice. But they're definitely
Honestly,
cute, and he
I'm just
is
glad that they
kind of
did not
infatuated with
attribute
her.
it to the
He had sort
number
of a
one
Muta blush
anime
going on at one
illness
point,
of anemia.
but yeah, then they're flying out to Houston, and we get to lean into other stuff. They're piling on the warning signs because Sharon drops a glass of water on herself, trying to take it from a stewardess when they're flying out to Houston. My hand went limp. Must be jet lag, because that's definitely going to make us feel good. It's exactly what we experience from jet lag is my hand going limp. I don't know. The number one anime illness is unspecified. It's you're taking anemia takes people down a lot. It is suspiciously like if you're going to target something, that's a weird one that always shows up there. Other than, of course, getting cold from being wet for 5 seconds. Which is the dreadedest anime disease. But the top anime disease is dies of unspecified illness. Never explained. They
I think they
cratered
were
off
at the
screen
Space
and no one
Center.
mentions it. So so far that has been the fate
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Sarika's father as well. We could make guesses. It was a debilitating,
Okay, yeah.
deteriorative
That's what. Alright.
disease. But this, of course, is where it will be linked in, because when Sharon and folks meet up with Hibito in this case, because he's not in the middle of training, he's in the middle of recuperating, so he can hang out with her at whatever the Houston arcade is. He notices her. Yes, but there are rides and kids all over. I know they're at the Space Center, but that's what I mean by arcade. They're in a section where there's just a lot of games that kids are playing and running around. So it's but
This whole scene
Hibito feels her
where
limp handshake and
Sharon
mentions that
is just
he
showing
feels
symptom after
weak and winded
symptom after
comparatively, because even
symptom.
though they do hours of
Um,
strength training and muscle
the
training,
one thing that
when
bothered
you're
me
on the
about
moon or in
it,
space, it
and
still,
this
you
may be a
lose muscle
nitpick,
mass, and when you come back, you're
but
trying to
when
get
Sharon
reused
is getting
to
kind of knocked around and
atmospheric
she gets knocked
pressure and
over by the
atmospheric
kid,
oxygen and being
well,
six
okay,
times
let me
heavier. So
revise. She doesn't get knocked
he's
over
out of it,
because
and
the kid bumps into
she's like,
her, she
"That's like my
catches
jet lag. My
herself,
body
and then
feels
she goes
weak,"
to step and her leg
and
gives out.
that doesn't sound
So
right.
that's a more accurate description of events. But what bugs me about that is that she was carrying like actual glass cups and they break on the floor and everyone's like, "Oh no, we got to pick up the glass." It's like, why were you using glass in the first place? This is a kid. This is a kid zone. What are you doing with fragile glass cups?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, but it still bugged me that they were using glass cups in there, and this is like, yeah, you know what? That's just bad planning.
That- that's that is true. Also, it's just expensive. Well, maybe adults want to feel adulty, so they need to have their proper what is it? They need to have their proper glassware. They wouldn't want to be stuck with
Uh
mere
huh.
what is it, with mere plastic or a red solo cup or something like that. They still need to feel like an adult. So glasses. I feel like
Uh
this
huh.
might be a little bit more of a cultural pull because if I recall correctly, at least looking at other
Yeah, that's
things,
that's totally
most
a fair
of
point. But
the
yeah, that
times when
little
you
bit
have
there,
a like a Japanese
it just
family
set off
restaurant
my
and people are
ick
going up and they're still
button.
self-serving their
It's just like,
drinks,
that's
I believe it's still largely like glassware, as in it feels appropriate for them. And there'd actually, of course, there would be kids around and other stuff. And while at a McDonald's you probably couldn't find one around, you still have a bunch of things that
probably
are,
sodas of some
more
kind.
self-serve type, and they still use glasses there. At least that is my impression. And so it might be something where, not really much thought was put in because that's just what they're familiar with. So, yeah. I want to know what those drinks were cuz like one was pink and one was green and one was, I don't know. It looked black. It was very dark brown. So I'm like, what are these drinks here? I guess. I mean, it's the United States. It would have to be sodas of some kind. But yes. So she talks about they do go to the hospital here because of her condition. So again, we're thrown off a little in that the blood tests show you're fine. Everything is normal. It's probably just fatigue. So they've also forestalled it a little bit because excuse me,
No,
because in the way that
he
they're
tried so
talking
hard.
about it,
He tried so hard.
it's like, okay, well, we did what you should. We properly went to the hospital. We didn't do the let's ignore it thing. She was seen by someone. They did blood work. Nothing's wrong. Hooray, we've solved it. Let's let's have a dinner with Muta and the gang, welcoming Hibito back. I think it's only the Japanese crowd at the Roadhouse, the Texas Roadhouse diner. Is that where we're at? That place gets abused a lot. Sadly, they don't have udon for Daddy. Daddy demands udon. I guess they're actually at a different place this time. Every udon. Every time they go out to eat, he's like, Where's all of the Japanese food? Steakhouse? Where is it?" But udon, dear, this is a pizza parlor. I forgot I have to go through the series and find every every Namba Papa shirt because he's wearing. I mean, it looks a little heavier than a t-shirt, but probably not a sweatshirt, but maybe. But it says parents on it. Just one word. Parents. It's like, okay. I need a screenshot of him with
Hmm.
every shirt with everything. So yeah, another thing. I mean, the first thing to really love about this, though, is that when Sharon is there and shows up, and Sarah is excitedly meeting her because they've chatted a few times on the phone, but she starts thinking of herself reading Sharon's book the first time as a kid, and her expression as a child is just some mystifying
Honestly,
form
I
of
can't
weird
blame
smile
her. I've
that I
met a
I
couple of
can't
celebrities
place.
in my
You know
life,
how
not like
sometimes you can
major,
have
huge
your characters who
celebrities,
have a great
but
pout
I've met
expression
level,
or some
I've met
other
people
kind
with a
of
certain
thing,
level of
and
fame,
I'm not
and
even really
I'm
sure
such a goober
how it
around famous
works.
people.
It's
I
like
just, if I'm around
you'd
someone that I
usually be
like and
beaming, but you're
respect and I
purposefully
enjoy their
keeping
work,
your
I'm such a little
mouth
goober.
shut, so you just have a really
And
wide
so yeah,
grin, but your
I
lips are fully
cannot
sealed, so
blame
that
her
her
in
lip
the
crease
slightest.
is just his weird, happy expression. And then she's wearing the same expression as adult her, eyes shining, meeting Sharon the first time,
Hmm.
and it's adorable. Hmm. Yep. I did that because I went to the first two books from the Daily Show staff, and the
Uh
first book
huh.
that Stephen Colbert put out. They had book signings in New York, so I went to New York each time to get in line and pick up some books and get them signed, one for me, and then I would gift them to other people. But because everyone was signing them at the end, you got to basically go up there. They would pass the books down, and you could share some quips with people. So if you had a funny T-shirt or other stuff, you got to exchange things with them. So yeah, I can imagine having that expression with them
Yeah.
because they're, at the time, but some of the people who are delivering exactly my kind of humor quotient, they were just directly on. And for me, one of the only people who'd make me happier is, being able to meet Weird Al Yankovic or something like that, which would be,
Oh,
yes, that would be my level of uber
no, I
gooberishness.
didn't. I assume it
That's
was
the
just as
technical
huge
term
as
for it.
always.
And I feel like that's also a very great word to describe just almost everyone on this show to one degree or another. I guess Kenji's not a goober, but Sarika has her goober moments. Like right now, Muta, of course, is your uber goober. Uh, and it's just nice when they have those kinds of moments. That's the sort of humor that you get in here at some level of just heartfelt purity that Goober describes very well. So, her, did you look at her plate of food, by the way? And it is. I can't tell. It looks like it's bottomed with a order of spaghetti with four slices of pizza stacked on top of it, and the pizza is some amalgam of like it's a supreme, I guess. So it's pepperoni and mushrooms and peppers and just whatever chunks of something would be on it. It looks like two whole peeled tomatoes and then just some giant shrimp off to the side. I'm like, you can order more than what you can put some things on your plate and get more later, right? But Oh no! Oh wow, those must not be potatoes. What are they? Because she picks up a slice of pizza to reveal a full baked potato with the works underneath it. So either the other things aren't potatoes, and I don't know what they are, or she has one full loaded baked potato with sour cream and two just peeled potatoes off to the side. Maybe they're just a bread or a potato halved. I don't know. But Madam Ito likes to eat. Oh, but but then they want to exchange email addresses, and we get the thing we saw it before, and as you said, the moment you
Can
saw
I
her
feel
banged
up
up
your
phone,
arm?
now we know what it's going to be used for, because the moment she spots it, Serica spots it, she immediately thinks back to her father. I keep dropping it lately. It just falls out of my hand. And now you're like, oh fuck. that's a real bad one. So yeah, just keep dropping it. Probably fatigue, and then the
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to look it up because I meant to. The test that she does, because Serica is just like, can I do something? Can I manipulate your biology for a moment? And picks up Sharon's arm. She's like remembering another thing where they went for a second opinion about her father to catch what was going on, and he ran them through a test where it's sort of a reflex test,
I
in
think
that
it's more that the
you think the
music
normal thing where
changed.
you bump one of the joints and look for a response from it. In this case, it's tapping the arm and then feeling a spasm after it, and that's what happens. So she's very, very concerned. You get the music change, you almost get the voice acting like miking difference. It feels like they're speaking into sort of a different recording style, because the voices are I may be overthinking it, or it's simply the fact that the background music changed and they floated out any of the chatter from the restaurant. But you get a focus on her whispering at that point, and it feels deadly almost, or at gravely concerned, of course. And she says, you should go back to the hospital tomorrow morning, and I should accompany you. And then we get the end of the episode. It's like, god damn it. We still don't know what her father had
Yeah.
at this point, but we're now aware, okay, that's probably what
Read the
Sharon
room,
has. We know how
guys.
deadly that was. You cruel, heartless bastard, you. What are you doing? Endanger the people who are going up to space and knowingly taking their lives on. Don't inflict horrible disease on Best Girl. But yeah, we move into the next episode, Piece of Cake. And so how do things drum up? We still have the OP, which is kind of quirky and upbeat, and we start with Appo's butt still. I'm like, this isn't the right one to have right now, guys. Read the room. Yeah. Now that's one thing that I'll give. I think there's only one anime that does this very well. Most other anime will just throw, like, they may delay the opening a bit and put it in at a later point, or the ED. but it's one of those where, yeah, they've come up with one, and maybe tonally it fits the arc that it's involved for, because each of these are around for, just a core. Uh, and they have the same footage, and they don't change much, and they don't do much. But yes, when you're in the middle of these things and you take a quick break for your nice little upbeat dog butt OP, and you're like, no, we're going into a bad time hospital experience. But the anime ReZero knows when to not have an opening at all. Sometimes it's because they have more material to fit in, but a lot of times it's just they know they're in the middle of a very tense situation, and maybe they put the opening halfway into the episode. They don't do it at all. They don't do the
It'd be
ED
nice.
in a particular situation, or they do something different for the ED to fit what's going on. And frankly,
So,
some of the
excuse me.
moments that it pulls off are really good. But if nothing else, I just really like the consideration that they pretty much show
Excuse me. Sorry, had a tickle in my throat.
through this kind of knowing what's going
Um,
on underneath
so
and being willing to
I
make
just
changes
watched this
to
episode
the
before we
typical
started.
OPED structure to
The thing
always
that
fit
stuck out to me
what's happening.
about
And
this episode,
you kind of think
and
occasionally
we
other
can talk
shows should
about the
do that
beginning here
too.
in just a moment because I'm kind of jumping right into the middle. The one thing that kind of stuck out to me in this episode
But
was
so
when
how are we starting
Sarika
here?
and Muta are talking to
In
the doctors,
yeah,
and Sarika is very much is talking about I fear maybe ALS. I did tests, and this is what I'm thinking, and the doctors are like, okay, are you a doctor? I was until 4 months ago. Okay, well, we're gonna still do some more tests and everything. It's like, it very much felt like she was
yeah.
being not entirely undercut, because I know that they didn't want to jump to a conclusion, which is smart, but still, it did feel like they weren't taking her worries as seriously as they should have. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I'm not sure it's entire. It didn't come across to me like that, but I can see that interpretation from it. I mean, just questioning whether she's a doctor, of course, there are a lot of people who will WebMD their stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
first of all, it's like, are you just jumping, Doc, I'm concerned it's cancer? Well, everyone is afraid everything is cancer because cancer is all over the place. So, in some ways, it just becomes that's an uncommon diagnosis that someone would have, but yes, it could come from someone who's just like, I've heard of this thing and it's really bad. Could it be that? So they do ask. And then she does say, I did this particular test. Obviously, they know that's a form of diagnosis for it. And you saw the shocked look on their uh, expression at that point, because if it is ALS, that would be very bad. So that's
Mhm.
one of the things that we're looking for, something neurological. Obviously,
Yeah.
ALS is uh, so they're more surprised, and then they're like, well, if we run more tests and diagnose it, do you guys understand, the seriousness and how to convey it to your not aunt? But so I didn't really get that they were being dismissive of. It seemed like a reasonably natural progression through it. They could obviously tell that she was an experienced doctor at that point. She not only told them, but she's like, I ran this test. I observed fascicular contractions, and I'm like, well, that's not something any
Uh-huh.
normal human being would say. So she interrupted them. It's just, oh God, well, if we run the test for ALS and determine it, then it didn't to me come across like they were saying, well, that's what you say, little lady, and we're running tests, and if we do
That's
diagnose,
fair. That's fair.
I think it
I'm not a
feels like
medical
they would
expert, so
add those kinds of tests earlier in
Yeah,
their
who would have thought?
hunting than they otherwise would have in this case. I don't know how long. For a lot of medicine things, of course, you just go through the gamut of hunting down. My mother has had a condition where they were spending 6 months just trying to figure out what it could be, and then you run blood tests of this type, and you try to figure out this thing, and I think it's still at the point where it's not 100% fully understood. Yes, it's definitely this thing, and here's how to treat it, but it just took a while to narrow in on it. So it might be one of those things where ALS would take a while to diagnose. Really? But yeah, the episode is framed around, in many ways, Muta's ability to concentrate, because he's of course he's now in the test portion of the jet thing, and all he can think about is what's going on, what happened in the hospital, and then conversation with Sarah. He doesn't know it's ALS for sure, but obviously she's very concerned, and so now he's running numbers basically. If I can't get to space in time, I'll never be able to fulfill my promise with her to build the Sharon telescope, which he made as a young tyke. And of course, now there's potentially another ticking clock. It's not just can he get there in time; it's will she be around. So his brain is not firing in jet test mode. But again, I'm just annoyed at Amonte intrusion. Sorry, because that's where, when they had the conversation with Serica you were talking about, and they did the, well, if we diagnose it's ALS, we'll need to break the news to her slowly, and it is a very serious disease, and then they flash back to Muta thinking about what Amonte told him, that serious disease, and oh God, no, this is it. I'm like, stop with the thing. There are 2 points of frustration for me with this series, and this is one of them. The other one we'll chat about later, but this is one of the ones that I'm like, God, why did you put it in here? Why did you put psychic powers that people treat seriously in the middle of my extremely hard sci-fi near future best show? It's just obnoxious, and every time you call back to it, it gets worse. And that of course is intruding on a very serious scene, and you're annoying me with the Amonte. See, I told you my psychic powers said a serious disease. Although Muta notices that when they were leaving, they obviously were expressing certain concerns, but he noted that Sharon never stopped smiling. We can assume one way or another what's going on. But during the cab ride back with Sarika, Muta asks her about what ALS is. She's like, it's a disease that killed my father, but she's the one who gives him the timeline, the normal timeline of what'll happen when things start shutting down. My father's progression was very quick, but in crap, now I forget things. Some people may go for 10 years, but for some people like my father, he didn't make it 3 years. So, and now I feel like that's literally exactly the time frame that they've been threatening Muta with. Like, if you do bad, it could take you 10 years to get to space. If you do well, it'll still take you 3 years to get to space. So, the the overall thrust is that he messed his test up. They get quick confirmation in this episode that it is ALS. What was it, like a week later? 8 days later. They confirmed it, and that's bad time. But you get sort of an off-screen thing with Sarika and Sharon talking, but we don't know about what. So Sharon and Tamora leave to go back. I guess Sarika was conveying that her father continued to research until he lost all ability to move. So that's what her plan is. She's got the project to do, she's got other places to go, and she's still amazingly positive, but from Hibito and Muta's perspective, they're thinking about all of the things that she would do with them regarding her hands, playing the piano to accompany them when they were playing the trumpet or guitar. Everything. Muta gives his own time frame. It'll probably take 3 or 4 years, but he still wants to express his desire to be the first one chosen to build her telescope. And she can't wait to see it happen, so she is maintaining positivity. And I enjoy the expression of it here.
He wants a self-derogatory phrase,
of course,
but she teaches
I
him
highly
piece
doubt
of
that would be
cake
me,
instead.
and my approach to getting diagnosed with ALS would not be feeling positive and a go-getter about my important lunar observatory project. I mean, I'd have to start construction of plans for a lunar observatory first of all. So that might take a while, but you snap back to Muta as a kid who's asking her how to say a phrase in English, which is what is it that he uses?
Honestly,
he just says how to convey I'm a useless.
I was so emo when I was a kid.
Yes. He wants to know how to say I'm a useless person who always fails during crunch time.
I probably would have asked to learn the same thing.
And first of all, I'm like, dude, you're barely 13. What crunch time are you involved with that you keep failing? But yes, he's in a mood. He's feeling very self-derogatory. I need to know when I make friends with people in other countries, because I'll be saying it all the time. So our barely teenaged Muta, is preparing himself for multilingual project failure, which is amusing. That is, yep. He's also just being a whiny brat at the time. It's like, what happened? Just tell me. So I enjoy I enjoy when series manage to convey kids well, even though it's not a part of their structure. So a lot of shows obviously have kids in it, and many times the kids are very adult because, it's a seinen series or it's conveying something. They're like, yeah, these aren't terribly kid-like. Uh, and then there are ones where it's done well or done at the very least amusingly. But I enjoy when we have Muta and Hibito as kids just being, kind of jackasses and being very kid-like in a series that is overwhelmingly eld, which is good. You don't have too many of them, but it feels natural, at least, even still. So yes, she tells him it doesn't mean the exact same thing, but you can use this simple phrase, it's a piece of cake. Has a completely different meaning, and I love his interpretation of it. It is one of my favorite things. I get it. It means I'm a useless human worth less than a piece of cake. And she lets him ride with that. And I'm like, okay, yes, indeed. She, something like that. She tricks positivity into him. And that's what she's trying to write that out on the plane, trying to keep up positivity about herself. Muta, of course, is down confiding in Hibito and saying, my test scores sucked. I was the lowest. We could understand why. I heard you can wait 10 years if you fall behind. Here, I'm a useless person who always fails during crunch time. So I think this is literally the first time he has actually failed during crunch time in a way that's conveyed. He, obviously he went through upper education, became an engineer, had a successful thing, a popular car design. I'm like, well, he hasn't been failing there. He managed to make it through all of JAXA training, as become an astronaut candidate. Here is the first time that he has failed during crunch time, which is just too distracted over the fatal disease your aunt has been diagnosed with, and you do bad on a test. God damn it, Muta. You're a useless person. You should have approached the test saying it'll be a piece of cake. Then you would have aced it. But yes, it's the mentality. It's the level of self-sabotage that I think an awful lot of people, certainly me, can empathize with, whether or not I'm ever actually failing during some kind of crunch time. Any time that I feel I'm doing poorly in a circumstance, I will just let it percolate and spiral a bit, because that's my brain don't work too good. And that's why I watch anime, to feel better. But the next comment I find odd, and maybe that's just a thing, because we saw, Hibito as a kid was kind of, more of a goofball and not too serious. But then as he aged, became serious. But here we see Hibito revealed that he scored poorly himself, because he's like, if test scores were the determining factor, I doubt I'd have gotten to go to space, which implies that he either also did lowest for another reason, which we'll see in the next arc. Excuse me. But either he did lowest or very low, and I feel like that's not representative of the level of seriousness that he leaned into, that they were conveying. I figure he would have buried himself in it, and maybe it's just like paperwork. I guess maybe it does work, because he has the things where he sort of throws the manual aside and is just like, it's faster to learn by doing. So maybe if your whole thing is study these books and take this written test, that's not something, even if he's very serious about it, it's not something that he would necessarily do well at. So maybe, but it felt a little off, because I'm like, Hibito is the one who knuckled down and got his shit together. So they park in one of the weirdest parking lots I've ever seen. I'm like, those don't look like parking things. Made squares. But so yes, he's thinking about the situation, fretting over her condition. They're all doing
and
some,
it's always
he's
yellow
doing
cake,
catch-up
never
stuff,
chocolate.
but he still can't concentrate too well on being shown around the plane and the hangar with the other astronaut candidates.
It's possible.
But Serica wants to have lunch with him, so later on, he's not even able to enjoy it, except that Serica got instead of a normal lunch, she got a dessert. A piece of strawberry cake, which somehow is the most favoritist Japanese thing ever. Everyone, it's always the damn strawberry cake with an actual strawberry on top. They can't get away from it. That is true. That is true. Maybe they don't know of any other cakes. But what is it? Muda asks if she's ever used the phrase, it's a piece of cake. And she's like, no, but I know what it means. So he was requesting self-derogatory thing from Sharon, and she is the type of person who's willing to lie to teach him something that is accidentally giving you like a positive approach. So and then of course we already knew this, but Muda has his promise to Sharon, and Serica relays, I've always wanted to go to the ISS to try to rid the world of diseases like ALS. So, she made her own promise to Sharon as well. And I guess that could improve one's mood somewhat, though not much. But they end the episode basically with a different kind of positivity. Yeah. She's like, well, I'm back and I'm gonna make this shit happen. I plan to head over, concentrate on your training. I'll head over to brief you on the Lunar Telescope project. Are you prepared? And of course, to fill the episode meaning, he replies with a piece of cake. I think they never seem to change the grammar of it to fit the actual use. It's a piece of cake, because he should have been like, it will be a piece of cake. because they're talking about a future event. They only know how to. It's a piece of cake.
I don't remember when it does
I'll
either,
forgive them.
but
I'll forgive
when
them.
it does, I assume you're going to make me
So
watch it.
we have the normal ED, and then we still have no pictures. We just have next time on. No more pictures in any of these. We do see in the next time on the return of a fan favorite, and I mean, I like him, so I'm the fan, and he's a favorite. So there we go. Technically, that's a lot of people. Got a lot of favorites in this show. And we have not yet seen the new ending thing. I don't remember when it kicks in, so we're gonna. Well, of course we have to. We got to talk about it. It's part of the show. It's the most important part of the show ever. An anime within an anime. What could be more important than that? So,
Okay.
in this case, I read the manga alongside at some point, but I don't remember there being anything specific. I've been rereading the manga for a different reason because of a comment someone made on a Discord, and I'm like, you know what? I need to see what's going on here, because, certain things seem right. There are a few plot holes that will actually be able to see.
Nice.
I don't think they show up in the anime, so that'll be part of the seeing if you notice them when we start reading the manga only and talking about that. But in this case, there's something else
Sounds
that I'll
good.
have
Do
to
we
see
want
if
to
you
wrap it up
notice while
there?
you're reading the manga for the first time. So it'll be fun. I'll call back on this moment when we get there and start chatting about it. That's what I was referring to. But on that note, we just watched episodes 61 through 64. That ended on chapter 120. Our next one will cover 65 through 69. Nice. Which ends on 129. And then go on from there. So another 5, and we will get it rolling, whenever we can flip it in. We are... I think we do. Just to catch
this
it,
is
because I
not
can
going to go
actually see
anywhere
them now.
for a
I think
while,
that means
not
1,
until we
2.
get
The way I
through
blocked
it,
it out
and then we
before.
can start
1,
talking
2,
about
3,
the
4,
new
5,
season
6,
when
7.
it comes out.
I don't remember what number we're on officially right now. We should get that count back together again. But there'll be 7 more to run out the 99 episodes. And I believe the last 4 will largely involve a lot of us just talking about everything that's gone on, because not much happens in those episodes. Then we'll have to do one on the movie, and then after that, we may take a bit of a break until I lean into the manga chapter divisions and decide how we're going to go, because I presume we'll also want to talk about that, because you can steam through the chapters a bit faster. Oh yes, definitely. I mean, if people know, it's obviously not hidden or anything. We're in the final arc of Space Brothers in the manga. That doesn't mean anything necessarily, because when they were talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, Chihaya Furu is going to end at this," and then it's like, no, they extend it, and it goes on for like an extra year, because when you have a monthly, it's not meaningful almost to talk about will be ending soon, because that might mean a year and a half, because it's
Where's
only
your spirit?
18 chapters or something like that. So I don't know when it'll end, but I believe there was scuttlebutt that the series could be picked up again basically as it's ending in the manga form, as part of that celebration, as part of putting it together. I have no idea if they can possibly get through all of
Yeah,
it, because if
that's
they
fair.
continue the pace that they're doing, that would be a substantially long time. There's enough content for another 99 in a movie and then another 99 in a movie. So while I would dearly love to see someone commit to doing that, I don't have high hopes. But
Hmm.
come on, yes. Well, my spirit. What is the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. I know that's a phrase, but the spirit is willing, but the knowledge of anime production logistics is, quotes low odds. But anything would
I
be
would
good.
even be fine
Maybe
with a
even
couple of
if all they
movies.
do is like that'd be interesting.
But
You
all
know
right, let's
how
go ahead.
some
Let's wrap it
shows
up
like
there
Girls and
because I know
Panzer and
you need
Princess
to probably
Principal
go to bed here
are going
soon.
through movie series, like they committed to 6 movies and
Yeah.
they're just
So
telling more stories with it. That, I think, would be another interesting way to do it. It would be, instead of telling the whole story,
yeah.
pick your
So all right.
major
Have a
arcs
good
into
night,
things
everyone.
and
Thanks for
be
tuning in,
like, do
and we will
6
be back
movies
soon.
for it and you just roll from one to the other. Again, I'd be fine with anything. And obviously, it would be best if they do 99 and then 99 more. But we takes what we gets. So I guess that wraps. Yep, yep. Yeah, it's slightly less than the normal. I think we used up as much time as we could for 4 episodes of anime. So good night, all.